Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Any questions from what we discussed last time? What was the topic that we discussed last time? Can someone help me to recollect that?
Uh, Credit researcher, sir.
Sorry?
Credit researcher.
Equity research, sir.
Okay.
We completed the landscape part, sir.
Yeah, that is what I think yeah, I think we completed that. Yeah. Okay. And I think that's the reason why I think Damni has, I think, scheduled this more of a doubt clearing session, correct? That's what she told me, but I have not got a chance to look at the email. The email says doubt clearing, correct? The topic in the email that you've got.
Yes, sir. She mentioned out clearing session.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, Nimish.
yeah, sir. As recently, like Big Bazaar is taken over by the Reliance team, or Mr. Biani has sold out that. So, what it is, it will be called. It will be a part of acquisition, or it will be anything else.
Yeah, it would be part of acquisition because they've taken over the entire control, and also more than that, uh, it is not that the old management will work with them. It's completely the new management that will come out. So it's part of the
Yeah.
acquisition.
So all the things will be taken care by the Reliance only.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, One more thing, like so Mr. Biani has only sold out the Big Bazaar channel. So the other ownership is him only, or like Future Group, because Future Group is a parent. In that we have the Big Bazaar and the Pantaloons
So
and all other things.
future group ka, they are different into different segments. Okay, so
Yeah,
as
like
in
insurance and
Pantaloon is
all these
one,
things.
yeah,
Uh,
Pantaloon, insurance, finance, and Big Bazaar is one of those segments.
yes.
So the
So that retail,
entire future group is not been taken over. Only Big
the
Bazaar segment
Big Bazaar
is,
retail sector.
yeah, yeah.
So one more thing I want to ask. So, like there is the BB channel is also taken over by the Reliance, or we can say the Mr. Biani has sold out that. So can Reliance can do changes in the names or in anything else, or uh, uh, there can be the same? It can be the same, or something. Reliance can remove the some channels or anything.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. When you
Like
saying name means,
Big Bazaar, like FBB, because Reliance is also having his own Reliance Trends, and FBB is the part of the Big Bazaar, means Mr. Biani. So both can be get merged equally, or the particular channel, or both will be the separate. Can it can be done by the Reliance?
Yes, it can be done by Reliance. Now, whether they want to do this or not, that is something which is yet to be, I think.
Okay.
I've not heard or read anything about that piece. But yes, it is very much possible because they've taken over the entire segment.
Yeah.
My sense is this will happen over a period of time. This will not happen immediately
Yeah. Slowly and gradually it
because
will be.
because currently the if you compare Reliance vis-a-vis Big Bazaar, so let's say Reliance Trends है, ठीक है. So
Hmm.
Big Bazaar as a brand is a much bigger brand vis-a-vis Reliance as far as this retail grocery or this
Retail
retail
concern.
segment is
Yeah.
concerned. Okay. So it makes more sense to keep the name of the big brand. But what will happen over a period of time as a Reliance becomes big as a brand into this channel of retail, then probably ho sakta hai they will may try and use that brand. But my my personal view is that currently they will try and not give away the brand called Big Bazaar because it's still is much bigger than Lions. Also, you need to
Yes.
be careful that there are certain um cities of the country where the Reliance Trends does not have a presence, but the Big Bazaar still holds a very big presence.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, Another thing which I'm expecting to happen that Reliance has recently not for time okay, but relatively it's a new segment for them. Reliance ne have launched this online retail segment of Reliance JioMart.
Yeah. Yeah. I have
So
heard of that.
ठीक है, which is very similar to Amazon or Grofers or Big Basket. वैसा ही है, मतलब it's very much in the similar space, but it's still not big enough like some of these because of a lot of reasons. ठीक है. So what this Big Bazaar acquisition will do, this will help them to scale up this because uh, Lion GeoMart is for that to grow, you need to have very speedy delivery. You need to have presence in most of the countries. Now, what will happen is suppose once they get hold of this, the entire logistic and supply chain can be linked to this online delivery platform as well. So, which means they will be into the both segments. They will be into the online retail segment as well as they would be into the uh,
Physical.
physical stores. So and slowly what will they try and do, they will try and integrate both of these, so which makes sense from a supply chain or from logistic perspective, and that's where the synergy or the benefit will
Yes.
start
That.
coming.
Yes. I have not thought of that of which you told about the like the Reliance Mart and the physical store. So that could be the better for the synergy purpose.
वही target है my uh, the way my personal view, again ये मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है कहीं पे, and again this is not being announced, but the way I read the strategy, what's happening into this deal, I'm
Yeah.
expecting this to happen, but again this will not happen immediately. This will take its own time, but I think this is the way the Reliance will try and take.
Yeah. But as you told, it is the biggest agenda, or the biggest thing which can help Reliance to grow the market segment as well.
Yeah, and then once they do that, then I think then Reliance will be in a position to start competing with these Grofers, Big Basket, and probably who knows, they might start creating some trouble for Amazon as well.
Yeah, that can be.
There's another again purely from a strategy perspective. I know I've not discussed strategy with you guys. आपके सेशंस strategy के बाद में है lined up, but Reliance also has they also have this I'm missing the name, but Reliance also has their electronic chain. What's the name? Reliance.
Yeah, Reliance stores for the
No, I'm missing this. Reliance
Reliance
Trends तो
Communication.
नहीं communications नहीं है.
Yeah,
Reliance Trends
for
तो
the
apparels में है, correct? Reliance Trends is more of a
apparel,
clothing
sir.
brand. So Reliance also has a similar brand into the physical store for electronics. I'm not
Electronics,
able
yes.
to. I'm not able
Reliance
to.
Digital.
I
Yeah,
think
Reliance
it's
Digital.
Reliance
Reliance
Digital, yeah.
Digital.
Yeah. Correct. It's Reliance Digital. So my sense of this is of this transaction, whatever has come into the public domain. So what I'm trying to read between the lines is the phase two of this would be, sorry, phase three of this strategy or this growth would be that, for example, Amazon, Flipkart. So if you look at grofers and and this big basket, okay, that you can't have electronic products available on these are more specifically focusing on the grocery stuff. But if you look at Flipkart and Amazon, which is much bigger giant, uh, so and that's why I told you it's phase through. Once this Reliance JioMart is able to come to a level of grofers and big basket, which is uh, more on the grocery segment, and that's why the big bazaar deal will help them. But after that, the next phase or next growth should be, because they want to, if they want to compete against giants like Amazon, they need to step up in terms of the product offering, and that's where the electronic products will start getting into the Reliance JioMart. So what will happen? This Reliance Digital will again start adding to that segment of giving them the ability to create a supply chain or logistic from for electronic goods as well. And that's where they will start slowly become like another Amazon. But again, Amazon is much bigger for them. But at least as far as India is concerned, my sense is will try and create some threat for Amazon. Nimish, anything else in this?
No, sir. Clear.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Anybody else kuch पूछना हो, because this is more like an open agenda session, so it's completely up to you. Discuss anything, ask anything. These are golden opportunities, correct? You generally don't get so easily these sessions, but you're lucky enough that Dami has given you these sessions. So, anything I want to discuss, any question from what we discussed, any query from what we discussed, or anything other than this, what you're reading, or anything else, more than happy to take that. Sanjay?
So can you tell what are stressed assets?
So, stress asset is an asset or a company which is not performing good, which is in a problem, which is under stress. Stress means you have a negative cash flows, you are not able to make profits, you're finding it difficult to survive, you're finding it difficult to repay your loans, you're finding it difficult to pay salaries to your employees. So stress asset or stress company refers to that asset or that company which is under stress. Now, what do you mean by under stress? Yet you do not have sufficient funds to pay your dues, or you do not have sufficient funds to take care of your day-to-day operations. Hence, your survival is at risk, or is at a question mark. That's called a stress asset or stress company.
Basically, the company is not performing well, and
No, there's a difference. There's a difference between not performing well. So if a company is not performing well, but they still have cash flows to take care of their obligations, that generally doesn't mean that it's not it's stress. It's not called as stress. For example, if a company is growing, historically company is growing at a rate of 20%, and now the performance has gone down from 20% to let's say 16%. So it's not performing well, correct? It's in the
yes, sir.
last 5 years trend, your growth has come down, but you're still sitting in a good cash balance. You have ability to repay the loan. Everything is working. It's just because of market economics has gone down. It's a COVID era. So growth has gone down, and because of which, sorry, the demand in the market has gone down, and because of which your growth has gone down. That does not mean that you are under stress. But if because of that degrowth or because of the slow in growth, you're not able to repay your obligations, you're at the risk of survival. If you're almost on the verge of exiting because you can't survive or you can't continue, then it becomes stress.
Like, sir, if the company has taken any loan or anything, and that company cannot able to repay that loan, then we can say,
Yeah, so that is one of the uh, one of the hints or one of the triggers that companies is heading towards stress.
okay.
Sanjeev, any else?
In this future growth, in the capital structure, they had a debt value of approximately 12,000 crore rupees.
Yeah.
Is it their capital structure which made it a stressed asset, and this is the reason or what?
Yeah. So couple of things. One is the capital structure, and second, in terms of there are a lot of obligations to repay, and uh, the way the Big Bazaar has put their business model. Uh, it's more of a capital intensive business. So it's not like a Amazon, or it's not like a Big Basket and Croppers, where there is there's less investment required into the real estate, correct? Because for a setup like Big Bazaar, what the traditional business model is to go into to take some space. Now, whether they purchase it or whether they take on lease, it's a different story. But both of these has a huge investment, correct? And I can't take a small space. You would have seen most of the Big Bazaar stores are 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 big or massive in size, correct? Because then only they get that economies, correct? They need to have uh, large variety of the products, large quantities, different segments, be it from your home appliances to your vegetables, or your bakery products, to your grocery stuff, and stuff like this. Okay, so what does it mean? They need to invest heavily on the supply chain and logistic piece, which is very much similar for Amazon and Big Basket as well. But they were required to invest more, also more on the physical store capacity and the infrastructure or real estate to that extent. That's something which was hitting them heavily. And what is happening over a period of time, a lot of people have started moving towards the online delivery, the kind of competition, the kind of an aggressive offers. And of course, so COVID also has to do something, has contributed to this. But before I go to that, so if you look at pre-COVID, so in India, it started showing its effect somewhere around end of Feb, correct? And then end of March is where the government realized this and started doing something. But if we talk about Feb and March, before Feb and March this year, so most of the people, or probably most of probably not, but there is a decent size of people which has moved from on a weekly basis. So if I take a step back, originally when Big Bazaar came into Indian markets, the metropolitan cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, where a lot of service class people, a lot of working people uh, are operating from these cities. They generally used to uh, go on the weekend and try and do a bulk purchase at least for a week or for a couple of weeks. That's the original traditional setup when Big Bazaar came in. But what happened over a period of time, slowly, these online apps or online delivery started coming in. People got a lot of comfort on that, because of which decent size of people moved from going to Big Bazaar on a holiday or probably once in a week after office hours, also during the week if required, and buying that they started moving from that to online delivery because of two reasons. Of course, it saves time, and plus in terms of the pricing, it was pretty similar because the offer that Big Bazaar was able to give is Amazon and some of the other stores are able to match those offers, correct? And so that's where the problem started for Big Bazaar, that the growth from a customer perspective started going down, and which again got more worst off in a COVID scenario, and after I think Feb March, I think anyways know everybody knows this because a lot of people completely moved towards the online delivery concept, okay, which again created a bigger dent, which means if Big Bazaar has taken uh, a big property in one of the big malls, and just trying to understand the rentals would be somewhere around 8, 10, 50 lakhs rupees per month. Uh, then if they're not getting sales in, they still need to pay the cost, correct? And just try and understand how many such stores they would have across India. Just try and multiply with those numbers and see monthly what is the dent that it will create on their balance sheet on the P&L. Okay, so that these are the two reasons, Deepak, which has created a lot of stress for them, and this is where the reliance comes in and starts taking over. Deepak, is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Anything else, guys?
Sir, can you explain royalty sharing holding?
Sorry.
Royalty sharing holding. I missed that part, I think, earlier in the class.
Uh, I didn't explain anything on the royalty piece, so I'm not sure which class, which session you're referring to, because if I recollect correctly, I have not discussed royalty so far with you guys.
On 22nd August, you mentioned it, that you will be covering it.
I don't recollect, but nevertheless, if you want to understand what is royalty concept or royalty holding, so I can explain that, but I don't recollect because I don't think that's we've done so far. It's lined up in the I
When
think.
we were discussing joint venture, I think there where you came up with this term.
कोई बात नहीं, so मैं explain कर देता हूँ, ये lined up आगे lined up है, but ठीक है, doesn't make too much of difference. So what do you mean by royalty? So suppose if I have if I have I've created actually some technology, for an example. So suppose I've created new technology and I've gone and patented that. Patented means मेरे नाम पे वो register हो जाती है technology. So that technology gets registered on my name. Now suppose you want to use this technology, you come to me and say, sir, please you let me allow to use this technology because I want to use this technology for my products as well. Say, okay, I will allow you to use my technology, which is registered in my name, and legally you're not allowed to create similar technology because that's what the patent does. So because it's my innovation, my research, so I have got it patented. But if you legally want to use this, I can allow you, but you have to pay a royalty to me. The royalty means you have to pay a fees to me. That could be per product, that could be monthly fees, that could be annual fees, or whatever agreement and terms and conditions that we mutually agree. So let's assume it's per product, which means using my technology, you will produce a product. So I will say, okay, let's assume 100 rupees per product. So which means whenever you will sell one product using my technology, whatever the revenue you will get, let's say you get 5,000 rupees revenue out of that product, उसमें से 100 rupees आपको मुझे pass on करना पड़ेगा. So that becomes royalty.
Okay, sir. Any examples, sir?
हाँ, इसकी बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये जो रिसेंटली मारुति और टोयोटा ने किया था. सो मारुति हैज गिवन अवे Baleno design to Toyota, and they're selling in the name of I'm missing the name, Glanza, correct? So उसके branding में वो बेच रहा है. So it's a very similar concept. So Baleno is being patented both in terms of design and in terms of technology under India under the name of Maruti, India Maruti, but they've allowed Toyota to use this. In return, they're getting what? In return, they're getting royalties. Just the royalty is not getting. They're not getting royalty in terms of the cash flow. They're getting royalty in some other shape and form. But still, it's a royalty concept because I'm allowing to use my design, which is patented under my name, to somebody to manufacture or sell a similar design car with the other name. So it's example of the same royalty piece.
Okay.
Similarly, I've also been part of certain transaction where the example royalties are so suppose if you're a writer, okay, and let's assume you have written a book which is more like an like a suppose it's like a biography of some celebrity. Let's say it's biography of, let's say, Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, I've written a book around that. Now,
Okay.
so that's a traditional business model. Let's say you go to Sachin Tendulkar and say, can you sign or put your autograph on first page of my book? And he says, why should I do this? He says, okay, for every book that will get sold, उसका मैं आपको X rupees दूंगा. And hypothetically, let's assume he agrees to that. So that's also an example of royalty, and a lot of authors do this. So they say, okay, we are coming out with this, and first 100 copies of our book is signed by that individual person जिसकी biography लिखी गई है. So it has an advantage to both the sides. First, it so lot of customers who want to get the copy of that autograph, तो आपकी personalize हो जाती है because आपको book भी मिल जाता है plus the autograph of that person. So And because it's the first 100 copies or 1,000 copies, whatever is the number, you try and rush to the stores and try and get that. So immediately sale ho jata. So that's also a royalty concept. A lot of publications and authors use that concept as well.
Okay, sir.
Recently, this SABI is putting more stress on this margin calls, and they want to put more. Means they are tightening the norms, because I've read it. And what prompting them to do this margin calls and all that? Right.
Sorry, Deepak, could you repeat that? I think I was facing
Like
some issue on my.
SEBI is changing that norms for margin calls, na? Recently there
Yeah,
was a big article in
yeah,
ET.
yeah.
So what prompting them? Because they are including all to be upfront, that VAR and all that, even the extreme losses.
So the concept is, this is again a step towards. Okay, let me take a step back and let me give you more perspective to this. So it's not SEBI. I don't know how strongly you track international markets and some of the other. Uh, so in India, it's not the SEBI. It's RBI also, who has come very heavily and started. So RBI has recently rolled out a draft regulation on the margining concept, which is very similar of taking these VAR and everything upfront. Yeah. And for SEBI also, they are again heading towards the same. And my sense is, I think end of this month, they will also come with a draft regulations around this, so that participants or the stakeholders in the markets can give them a feedback, and they can finalize and probably uh, in the last queue of this calendar year, they can finalize with this. But if you look at internationally also, so for example, other regulators like some of the Asian markets में Singapore है, Hong Kong है, and some of these uh, uh, equivalent growing economies, which are very much from an investor perspective. So, most of these Asian countries regulators are also heading towards that. So the reason क्या है is the kind of an so for example, जैसे ये uh, जो एक्सट्रीम इवेंट्स हो रहे हैं, जैसे कोविड हुआ, या फिर फॉर एग्जांपल आपका कोई और crisis होता है. So what happens if you it taking this collaterals or the margins upfront and trying to, so this gives them more protection to the market. So if I have investors, I suppose I'm playing in the FNO segment, and I've taken some position, and I've not given a margin, and the loss goes off, then technically, if I go bankrupt because I don't have money because I've lost the entire business, then I will create a spillover effect. What do you mean spillover effect? कि मैं तो loss में गया ही हूँ, because I will not be able to pay to the exchange or to my broker, and broker will not be able to pay to the exchange, and exchange will not be able to pay the broker on the other side, and hence the broker will not be able to pay the customer on the other side. It starts creating a spillover effect. So let me put this on screen. So ये ट्रांजेक्शन होती है एक्सचेंज में कैसे, यहाँ पे आपका कस्टमर 1 है, ठीक है, फिर ब्रोकर 1 है, फिर यहाँ पे एक्सचेंज आता है, फिर यहाँ पे ब्रोकर 2 आता है, और फिर यहाँ पे कस्टमर 2 आता है. ये क्रोनोलॉजी होती है करेक्ट ट्रांजेक्शन की. तो अगर आपको डील करना है एक्सचेंज पे, तो आप अपने ब्रोकर से डील करोगे, फिर वो आपका ब्रोकर एक्सचेंज पे डालेगा, इधर से दूसरा कस्टमर ब्रोकर 2 से डील करेगा, एंड वो एक्सचेंज पे डालेगा. करेक्ट दीपक?
Yes, yes, it's in sort of
Now let's assume if this goes off, this crashes, this customer crashes, this customer will not able to repay the broker. अगर इस ब्रोकर के बाद ऐसे ऐसे बहुत सारे कस्टमर जो क्रैश कर गए हैं, ये ब्रोकर खुद भी क्रैश कर जाएगा. अब ये
it will be
ब्रोकर
a
क्रैश कर
cascading effect.
exactly. This broker, when this broker will go off, this will create some impact or dent on this exchange. तो ये impact होना शुरू होगा, फिर इससे इस पे impact आना शुरू होगा, इससे इस पे impact आना शुरू होगा. So that's why these regulators are heading toward these margining and making this much more stronger. Which
But
in
they are
turn,
also in. Sorry, please.
bolo. Go ahead.
Because they are also including extreme losses. But how to evaluate those extreme losses and events? Like nobody has thought of this COVID pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what.
So
that's
what are the expected calculations that this event, this a catastrophic event will happen?
So what they will do, they will come out with the methodology. So I've seen the RBI draft. I was a part of some conference last week. So we were discussing the same. So again, without getting into too much of that, because a lot of that stuff is yet to roll out in the market. But what I understand is they will come out with the calculation methodology. Because I agree with you when you say extreme loss. कैलकुलेशन ऑफ द एक्सट्रीम लॉस से पहले आपको स्ट्रेस टेस्ट करके वो एक्सट्रीम सिचुएशन पता लगानी जरूर है. करेक्ट. बिकॉज हाउ वुड आई
Exactly. And at what will be the trigger points to test the stress scenario basically?
एग्री. सो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप कोविड से पहले देखोगे तो हमारे लिए स्ट्रेस जो होता था, उस स्ट्रेस में कभी कोविड जैसा सिचुएशन नहीं सोचा होगा. बिकॉज इन आवर जनरेशन हैव नेवर सीन दिस स्ट्रेस, स्पेशली इन Indian markets, correct? We've not seen such kind of an event happening that entire economy has come to a halt, stuff like this, correct? We've not seen that, our generation. So for us, the stress used to be more of the market crash कर गया 5%, 10% 15%, कुछ हो गया, कुछ event हो गया, stuff like this, correct? We've never seen
Because last time we have seen only that crash of 2007. But it is also not to the Indian market.
Correct, which was more of a global market crash getting impacted to the Indian market, correct? But ये जो pandemic है, this is much bigger. In my assessment, it's much bigger than that. क्योंकि वो globally start हुआ, उसका एक tip इंडिया पे गिर गया. ये वाला तो पूरा इंडिया पे आ गया, correct? And now reverse हो रहा है. Globally, other countries have come out of it. We're still struggling, correct? So I don't want to get into too much of a political drama around this, but the way the political system has positioned this entire pandemic, it seems that uh, a lot of political parties have positioned like this, that we have won this battle, correct? Have we won this battle? In my assessment, no. We were still struggling, correct? Because the numbers are going up. Of course, the recovery rate and stuff have improved, but people are still losing their lives, correct, because of this. Now, are we good to say that instead of 20x, only now 2x of people are losing their lives? But that's I think that's the way the value of the human life in India is not considered too strong. But some of the other markets are very strong economies. For them, even if you're losing these 2x number of people because of something, they're still concerned about this. I think that's my personal assessment. So to me, I think the battle is still not over, but a lot of the way it's been tried to position by some of the political parties or some of the uh, stakeholders, this is over and we've won this battle. But I personally don't agree to that. But having said this, ये जो stress test का concept हम discuss कर रहे हैं, before COVID अगर मैं stress test देखता तो मेरे पास एक ही event होता था, as you said, is that US crisis, ठीक है, 2007 2008 में जो हुआ था, that used to be extreme stress, ठीक है. So now अभी अगर मैं stress test कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, now we are considering under stress test into this pandemic as well, ठीक है, and which has created a very different stress numbers vis-a-vis what we used to do before pandemic. So that's what will be. Now coming to your question in terms of how would they calculate that? So they will come out with a methodology, and I've seen that for at least for the OTC segment. So they will come out with the calculation. They will define that calculation methodology. They will define that these parameters will be considered to identify these stress events, and then for these stress events at these probabilities and these uh, methodology would be used for calculating stress, and your extreme loss will be computed on that, and hence your margin payoff or margin calls would be computed on this. So you don't need to get in. Well, so for you it will not be a subjective element, because SEBI will define that this is a methodology, then exchange has to follow that methodology, and the broker has to follow that methodology, and you have to follow that methodology. So there will be no ambiguity or subjectivity involved into this, that broker
But
one is following it. The only challenge could be you might disagree with that methodology. नहीं ये तो correct methodology नहीं है, कुछ और होना चाहिए. But you don't have a choice, correct? A regulator comes out with say this is they believe best for the industry, and that's the reason they will come out with a draft. The way the RBI has come out with a draft, they will come out with a draft, and then they will expect participants to give that feedback at an industry level or at an economy level. And I'm assuming that the regulator will take those into consideration and will finalize which they believe is the right for the bigger segment of the industry. And once that gets rolled out, it has to be adopted by everyone.
yes, but this will not impact the volume, because putting a more margin, because means retail investors will come up that no, first we have to deposit that much amount of their, means broker basically, that much amount of money over there. Now it has been increased, so it will not. You don't think it will impact the volumes? It will
It will.
means.
My sense, it will impact the volume. I don't think there's a doubt about this, and I'm convinced that the regulator also have acknowledged that piece, because if you look at the draft or the way they have rolled out for the, if there's a SEBI कुछ announcement था, उसमें भी they in the background, if you read, they have acknowledged to a certain extent that it will have some kind of an impact. But I think the way they are the every regulator will think, Deepak, they're not that the primary objective is to bring safety, correct, to make economy or investable environment more stronger, and then volume comes in. It can't be vice versa. Okay, let me get the volumes first without making that safe environment. Then what will happen? This will happen. What happened in US in 2007 2008, that you are trying to achieve volume without ensuring the safety है कि नहीं.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, from last 5 minutes we are we are not able to hear you.
Yeah, I think it got hanged. So, uh, where were we? कुछ दीपक में बता रहा था आपको.
Regarding this SEBI, that the margin calls and all that. We are talking about them on the volumes. If the stringent rules on the margin calls will impact the volumes.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Am I only am I facing this, or you are also, my mic is getting on mute by default.
Yes, automatic. Yes, many times. Not in this class, earlier classes also.
Okay. And when I'm trying to put it on unmute, it's not allowing me to. It shows like a disabled kind of an
Okay.
option. ठीक है. So हाँ, SEBI margin. So where were we? हाँ, so you're asking about the volume. So yes, I think volume impact होंगे, but they they wanted to make it market more safer before trying to run behind the volumes. ठीक है. And इसीलिए in few initial period, a few initial quarters, it might have some impact on the volumes, but slowly and slowly over a period of time, people will get used to this, and only जितना आपका capacity है उतना ही आप ट्रेड करोगे. So क्योंकि मार्जिन अमाउंट ज्यादा हो जाएगा और अपफ्रंट रखना पड़ेगा आपको, so your capacity to trade will get limited. It will not be like an unlimited capacity to trade.
One more question. Like these, this is a general question that U.S. Big agencies like S&P, Fitch, Moody's, they are very pioneer. They things and they are that on this. But most of the market abuse, starting from Enron to this 2007, has happened over there only. So means why they say that we are the pioneers on that? We are
So
very
Android.
stringent on.
बोलो.
They say that across the world we are very stringent on this financial abuse in the market.
But if you look at some of the other markets like Indian markets में इतने सारे प्रोडक्ट्स अलाउड ही नहीं है जो वो मार्केट्स में अलाउड है. ठीक है. दूसरा, they are much ahead in terms of market depth and times in terms of complexity of the product. ठीक है. So इसलिए वो लोग ये बोलते हैं कि हाँ, we have a much stronger markets, but वो ऐसा कभी नहीं बोलते कि we are much stronger in market abuse. ठीक है. Because वो तो एक नेगेटिव स्टेटमेंट हो जाएगा ना. मार्केट अब्यूज, यू आर ट्राइंग टू अब्यूज द मार्केट, यू आर ट्राइंग टू प्ले विद द मार्केट. सो आई डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन यू सेइंग कि they say कि we are the leaders in the market abuse.
No, because most of the things has happened over there only. Starting from what I know is Enron to 2007 and prior to that also in hedge funds and all that. There is a huge playing on these instruments and wrong representation of balance sheets and all that had happened, which created a huge loss to the investors in that country in specific.
It's bound to happen, correct? अगर 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 इसके दो रीजंस हैं, एक तो उस मार्केट में ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स अलाउ करे जाते हैं जो अदर मार्केट्स में नहीं करे जाते, सो दैट इज वन. सो द एबिलिटी फॉर द प्लेयर्स टू डू स्टफ लाइक दिस गोज अप. सेकंड, ये पकड़ में क्यों आता है? बिकॉज द रेगुलेटर इज सो स्ट्रांग or their agencies are so strong that they are able to find the mistakes. So which is what it means कि इंडिया में भी हो सकता है, होती हो, बट हमारे पास एबिलिटीज नहीं है उनको कैच करने की, और दूसरा हो सकता है इंडिया में होती नहीं होगी. करेक्ट? यही दो सिनेरियो हो सकते हैं ना. Now you tell me which.
नहीं, little bit not means your statement about this, they are very stringent, means unke regulators are very good at these. The way Enron has happened in 5 or 6 years, it
एनरॉन
was
मार्केट अब्यूज नहीं है ना, वो विंडो ड्रेसिंग को
नहीं,
कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस था.
means corporate governance, it is also means sort of it, but it lost means investor ने तो hugely loss किया उसमें.
हाँ, so
Heavily
देखो
they have lost it.
कोई भी रेगुलेशन आप बनाओगे तो रेगुलेशन का लूप होल निकालने वाले तो लोग आ ही जाएंगे. करेक्ट? एंड दे विल बी एबल टू get into the system and create a lobby to play around this. I don't think they would be able to plug, but the numbers that you see what's happening in there in that market vis-a-vis what's happening in Indian markets. अब नंबर देखो ना, इंडिया में कितनी कंपनीज हैं जो आती हैं, बैंकरप्ट होती है, पैसा लेती है, चली जाती है. क्या कर लिया हमने? So इंडिया में लास्ट couple of years में so many big names have come in, they've taken the money from the public and they're going to become bankrupt, and who only public is crying. Correct? And politically nothing is happening. These people have gone outside the country as well, nothing is happening. The media will continue to shout, but the money never comes back. Correct? Are they being punished? The answer is no. Now, so that's where I think the maturity of the market comes in. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of corruption is involved. A lot of cases doesn't get to media or doesn't get attention, are being suppressed before it's being called as a breach. So वो सब होता है यहाँ पे. I'm not saying वहाँ पे भी नहीं होता होगा, but it is a little difficult to own those markets because वहाँ पे चीजें much more stringent है. Vis-a-vis यहाँ पे भी है, but I think that's the way every economy grows. Correct? We are moving into that direction. We wanted to move from a growing economy to a probably developed economy, and that's the journey. Correct? That will happen. So दूसरा, वहां पे इकोनॉमी काफी खोल देगी. जैसे रुपी को देखते हैं, in India we still have a partial capital account convertibility. Correct? We do not have full capital account convertibility. Markets like US have full capital account convertibility, which means they have a full ability to play with the dollars like anything. कितना भी डॉलर इन एंड आउट कर सकते हो कंट्री से, which means they have a lot of potential to speculate into the currency market. इंडिया में आप नहीं कर सकते आईएनआर में स्पेकुलेट अगर आप करेंसी में खेलना चाहो तो. What does this mean कि वहां पे जो एबिलिटी है किसी के लिए मार्केट अब्यूज करना वो बहुत ज्यादा है, यहाँ पे कम है. So but that does not mean कि वो मार्केट स्ट्रांग नहीं है. वहां केसेस होते हैं, होंगे. चलो, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So when they say that they are much ahead, it जैसे अभी मार्जिन का रेगुलेशन देख लो. मार्जिन का रेगुलेशन उन मार्केट्स में बहुत पहले से है. So they are ahead of some of the growing economies or developing economies That's the way it works, correct? They have already launched those products. They have allowed that risk appetite, जो some of the other markets अभी launch करने वाली हैं, या रैपिड appetite create करने वाले. For example, जैसे जैसे डेरिवेटिव सेगमेंट में है, इंडिया में 1 सितंबर से अभी लाइव गया है. बस in India, if you track these segments, so derivatives, especially the OTC side, the RBI has allowed some of the exotic products to be dealt with the corporates. ठीक है, वो अब allow हुआ है with lot of conditions. ये ages से है some of the markets like US, Singapore में, because वहाँ के regulator ने वो appetite feel कर लिया है and they believe कि वहाँ पे, but that automatically means कि वहाँ पे possibility है उस situations होने की. So you can't get, and you will not ever be able to ensure कि 100% वो हो जाए या zero cases आए. Cases आएंगे, ठीक है, उसमें I don't think doubt, but the question is, are you able to detect those cases? Are you able to find out the people who are trying to do wrongs? And also, are you able to penalize them? उनके जो penalties देखी आपने, this goes into $100 million, sometimes goes into bigger amount as this. इंडिया में किसी रेगुलेटर ने कभी करोड़ 1 करोड़ से भी ऊपर का फाइन मारा है? ठीक है. So I think that's where, and there's a lot of also in my sense, a lot of bureaucracy also is involved, that some of the big companies are able to create lobby and are able to, वो वहाँ पे भी होता होगा, I'm not saying कि नहीं होता होगा, but given I track a lot of international markets as well, they are much ahead of us, but that's the way. It's a natural transition which will happen for every economy when they're moving from a growing economy to a developing economy, to a developed economy. Yeah, Deepak, anything else in this?
No, thank you.
Yeah, anything else, guys?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Fazlur.
सर मेरा मेजनाइन इन्वेस्टमेंट का क्वेश्चन है. हेलो.
बोलो.
मेजनाइन इन्वेस्टमेंट में प्राइवेट इक्विटी का क्या रोल है? मेजनाइन इन्वेस्टमेंट तो एक तरह का कन्वर्टेड डिबेंचर्स हो गया.
हाँ, so private equity sometimes also use this mezzanine funding to invest.
सर उसमें तो इन्वेस्टर ये डेट होल्डर से होगा ना, उसमें तो
बाद में इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट हो सकता है ना.
यस सर, लेकिन इसमें बाद में इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर बन सकता है ना. इनिशिएट तो वो डिबेंचर होल्डर ही रहेगा.
करेक्ट. सो बहुत सारे प्राइवेट इक्विटी इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते मेज़नाइन के थ्रू, बट सम ऑफ देम से कि अगर स्टार्टिंग में उनको रिस्क ज्यादा लग रहा है, उनको लग रहा है कि इक्विटी में नहीं जाना है, स्टार्टिंग में डेट से खेलते हैं, एंड देन इफ द कंपनीज गोस टू अ स्टेबल सिनेरियो देन वी विल मूव टू इक्विटी. तो वो ऑप्शन है, whether they want to use it or not, that's a choice of the individual, that's a decision of the individual firm ना. वो choice available है, चलो एग्रेसिव होता नहीं है उसमें.
क्लियर सर.
I have one question on this margin, and after this you told about this debt to conversion of in equity. This they have to define early on this because this is a sort of convertible bonds what we are talking. or convertible debt.
Sorry, Deepak?
This is what we are talking of. Conversion of debt to equity is a convertible debt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it needs to be defined at early phase or later on the date. It can
both
be.
ways. Both ways. Generally, some of these has a convertible clause defined at the early stage, which means you define at the end of the third year, this will get converted. Second option is you define it after 3 years, you can convert whenever you want. So whatever terms and condition, you have to agree upfront. Hello.
Yes.
Achha, give me a minute because I think I'm facing some issue in my laptop. Let me try and dial in through phone because it's not. Just give me a minute. I'm dialing through phone. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I have completed my question. That was, and you answered that. That it can be converted at later point of time. It is not mandatory
Yeah.
that any to, to be when you are issuing the debt, it is not mandatory that you should open up that it can be converted.
Correct. Okay. Any other questions?
Hi,